Good day, everyone. My name is Jibril Abubakar. You are live on Campus Tutorial TV, and as usual, we are here to deliver a brief lecture on history. What is history and how to answer history? And you can understand from the general historical backdrop that I give you. I explain to you to the best of my ability for you to understand how to address what is history or the natures of history. Today in our new edition, I am to discuss on colonialism, which is one of the most interesting topic in History 103. It's actually a course that combines two departments, history and political sciences. I mean, three departments: history, political science, and Islamic department. That is in 100 level. So the History 103 today, I'm going to be talking on colonialism. For instance, in history, in historical enterprise, when we are asked what is colonialism or what are the impacts of colonialism in the history of Nigeria, or discuss the various agencies that facilitated the European conquest in Nigerian area in 19th century, this is how you go about answering it. You know, in the nature of history, if you are asked to answer a particular question, in the question, you are expected to bring out the central concept. For example, they said, discuss the various agencies that facilitated the European conquest of Nigeria in 19th century. Then you are going to begin by saying, for example, in an attempt to examine the various agencies that facilitated the European conquest of Nigeria in 19th century, it is imperative to begin by tracing the historical backdrop that led to the Europeans to move to other parts of the world in order to colonize them. But before going deep into our elucidation, it is very important to begin by defining the concept colonialism. Then you will define colonialism. Then after colonialism, then you trace briefly how the idea of colonialism came about in Africa and other parts of the world. So let me go by explaining how we will do it as brief as possible due to the time constraint. Colonialism is a concept that attracts divergent views of scholars in history itself. So to me, in a very simple manner, I perceive colonialism as it is a phenomenon that occurs in not only in Nigeria but in the entire Africa in 19th century, and it is just an European system, a British system of administration, which the Europeans extend their power to dominate other countries of the world who are very weak compared to them, taking control of their political, economic, and social institutions for their own benefit. So in a simple term, colonialism basically refers to as the power of the Europeans that exert it upon the weaker countries in order to exploit their resources for their own benefit. Historically, the idea of colonialism, tracing from the historical background, it began merely as a result of the changing or shifting in the economic system or economic institution of the Europeans, right from 1750s, beginning from Britain. The Britain from 1750s experienced what we know as Industrial Revolution, which the use of human being is replaced with the use of machine, and that is what we mean by Industrial Revolution. So in a simple term, Industrial revolution basically refers to as a dramatic change in the production processes in which the use of human labor is replaced with the use of machine, which by extension lead to increase in the volume of production, as well as availability of food, as well as the increase in the population density of those people, that is the Europeans. So as a result of this, it happens in Britain. Thereafter, it moved to France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and all other European countries. So with this industrial revolution, all the European countries became saturated with a volume of food required, which go beyond their requirement. So as a result of this, the Europeans were now forced to move to other countries of the world in order to search for raw materials that could sustain their industries, as well as to search for a market, a place where they will sell the surplus of what they have produced from the industries. And that brings about the idea of colonialism in 19th centuries. So with the coming of the Europeans in Africa, particularly in 19th centuries, there is a tension between the Europeans themselves, because all of the European countries were in search of raw materials. So with this competition among them, it leads to envy, then it even led to a near war situation. So as a result of this, that led to a conference which was held in Berlin. We call it Berlin Conference. It took place in 1885 and 1886. At this Berlin Conference, it was spearheaded by a former Chancellor of Germany called Chancellor Bismarck. In this very conference, all the European countries, they were advised to sign treaty with other countries of Africa, with traditional rulers. So in those days, our traditional rulers are not westernly sound educationally, and that led to the interpretation, the medium, the intermediate that interprets what the Europeans are saying, interpreting it to the traditional rulers. It happens in a different direction. So in a very nutshell, the traditional rulers signed treaty without knowing that the Europeans are planning to take their control in totality. And that led to the scrambling and partition of the Africa, including Nigeria in this. So that led to the partition of Africa. As a country, we have Nigeria, Ghana, and so many countries. So immediately after that, Britain took control of 4 countries in Africa, and that includes Nigeria, Ghana, Gambia, and Sierra Leone. These are British ruling countries. So they are all colonies of the British, and we call them in collection Anglophone. Then we have the Francophone, colonized by the French countries, almost 11 in number. So that led to what we mean by colonialism. And when you get through with this, with the coming of the colonialism, they take control of the political institutions, take control of economic institutions, they take control of all the social institutions, all the operations of the country. Nigeria in particular were now handed over to the Europeans. And that is what we mean by colonialism. Having explained this all in written, then you begin by saying the following are the major impacts of colonialism in Nigeria. Then you begin to give them. You outline them, you explain them. After that, then you outline the agencies that facilitated the Europeans in the conquering of Nigeria and Africa at large. So it is very important to you to understand that when we're talking about colonialism in Nigeria, it is a similar phenomenon applicable to African countries, applicable to Ottoman Empire in the Middle Eastern region. The same thing to India. They also experience colonialism. So it is the same thing, the same impact, the same process, and the same processes that they follow. So in a nutshell, this is just where I'm going to stop here, and you are going to follow us in my subsequent lecture. I'm going to outline the major impacts as well as the agencies that facilitated the European conquest of Nigerian area in 19th century. Thank you very much.